Hi, everyone. We're just waiting for a couple of more people to join us to get to our quorum, and we're expecting a couple more. So we'll just wait another moment or two.
Okay.
Everyone must be shopping. Oh, Betty, everyone must be shopping before the storm.
I think I've got audio now.
Yep, we can hear
Okay.
you, Belle. Awesome.
So how was everybody's day?
Good so far.
Just waiting on the weather.
I just got this announcement across the bottom of my computer, storm warning.
No kidding, right? It's coming.
It's coming. Just what I wanted.
And yet, I think we've got, is that Jeff on the phone? So we have six.
Yes. We do have a
Yes,
quorum with
that's it.
6, yes. Mhm.
But a
Are we-
traffic.
Yes. Are we waiting for anyone else, Nanette, to jump on?
I mean, we're waiting for 2 more. Gladys Bed and Samalid are supposed responded yes, but they're delayed.
Let's just
But
wait
we
one
do-
more minute.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll just wait one more minute and then we'll get going, and I'm sure they'll jump in.
Thank you.
John, was there a decision for STCC to close tomorrow?
Yes, trustee Alexa Exposito. These in the era of COVID, these are the easier decisions to make. I promise you that. I think about an hour ago, made the call that we are definitely going to be curtailed, otherwise closed tomorrow. And it's just easier to be erring on the side of caution.
Right.
Things.
That was the other thing that popped up was with Mass Live, school closed.
Yeah.
That's all it said. I didn't see who won, but I was just curious. I was figured we would be.
Better safe to keep everyone safe.
And when we
Yes.
can, we certainly will give people
Priority.
an early notice like we did today.
Yeah. Well, Nanette, let's get going. We do have a quorum. So I'd like to call to order the Monday, February 27th, 2023 Springfield Technical Community College Board of Trustees. Would you please take the roll?
Yes, Mary Kate Murin,
Present.
Janae McDonald,
Present.
Elizabeth Esposito,
Present?
Gladys Beth Garcia Figueroa, Tonya Butler Perez, Samalid Hogan,
Present.
Bill Johnson,
Present.
Norm Roldan,
Present.
and Jeff Sattler.
Present.
Max Starks is excused. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. It's the calm before the storm, everyone. So hopefully it's not a big storm. So let's look at the approval of minutes for the Board of Trustee meeting that was held on January 30th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Bill Johnson, second.
Great, thank you, Bill. Discussion. Hearing none, Nanette, could you please call the roll to accept the Board of Trustees meeting minutes of January 30th, 2023?
Yes, Mary Kate Murin,
Yes.
Janae McDonald,
Yes.
Elizabeth Esposito,
Yes.
Gladys Beth Garcia Figueroa, Tonya Butler Perez, Samalid Hogan,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
Norm Roldan,
Yes.
Jeff Sattler,
Yes.
and Max Starks. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Committee reports. Trustee McDonald, you have a committee on internal external relations that happened on February 6th, 2023. You want to give us just a quick overview before we accept those minutes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had an enrollment update. The spring head count is over 2%, and we're over 4% in credits. We are at 98.8% overall COVID vaccine compliance. The health programs continue to increase. We have seen some decrease in general studies. We did a light review of some of the smaller enrollment courses that have 5 or less students, landscape, simple engineering tech. We went over some of the draft goals for the strategic planning and, looking forward to some of the next steps and objectives to move that forward. We received an update on the alumni trustee election, which had 3 candidates at the time. The WTCC general manager hiring is still in process. There are new foundation board members, and trustee Butler Perez, volunteered to be the liaison on that foundation. And we had a governance update. As we all know, we have our NECHI visit coming up on March 6th and 7th. And we'll debrief on that at the next board meeting in person on 3/27 for internal, external.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. Great, thank you so much. Do I hear a motion to accept the Committee on Internal and External Relations meeting minutes that was held February 6, 2023?
Norman Rodan.
Thank you.
Second.
Do I second? Great discussion. Great, hearing none. Nanette, would you please call the roll to accept the Internal External Relations Committee minute meetings for February 6?
Yes, Mary Kate Murin,
Yes.
Janae McDonald,
Yes.
Elizabeth Esposito,
Yes.
Gladys Garcia, Tonia Butler Perez, Samalid Hogan,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
Noam Roldan,
Yes.
Jeff Sattler,
Yes.
and Max Starks. Thank
Great.
you.
Great, thank you, Nanette. Trustee Starks is unavailable, so I'll give the update of the Committee on Ways and Means report that occurred on February 13th. I did highlight the investment subcommittee report in those minute meeting that was February 2nd. You can read those. Jonathan Chudrin gave us a quarterly trust fund report that revenue and expenses for all 3 trust funds fell in line with the expectations for the second quarter. He then went into a cash flow projection for FY 2023. The college has approximately $6.9 million available at TD Bank as of February 5th. And the projected year-end cash balance is approximately $5.5 million with a conservative approach. Andrea talked about our spring 2023 enrollment. It's not quite final yet, but it is favorable to budget. So we'll have those numbers in a few weeks. Jason went into the budget outlook for the year, and we have a projected 1.8 million favorable variance for the fiscal year, which is very great. Dr. Cook gave us an overall budget process perspective before Andrea jumped into multi-year scenarios and analysis. I'm not going to go into great detail here because Dr. Cook's going to talk about that through a couple of his slides. There was no old or new business, and we ended the meeting appropriately, and for the next one to be March 13th. So do I hear a motion to accept the Committee on Ways and Means minute meetings held on February 13th, 2023?
I move that we accept the minutes. This is Samalid Hogan.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second, Betty.
Great. Thank you, Betty. Discussion. Hearing none, Nanette, would you please take the roll to accept the meeting minutes of Committee on Ways and Means held on February 13th, 2023, which included the investment subcommittee report held on February 2nd?
Yes, Mary Kate Murin,
Yes.
Janae McDonald,
Yes.
Elizabeth Esposito,
Yes.
Gladys Garcia Figueroa, Tonya Butler, Samalid Hogan,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
Norm Roldan,
Yes.
Jeff Sattler,
Yes.
and Max Starks.
Thank you so much, Nanette. So Dr. Cook, I think we're transitioning right into your perspective.
Appreciate that. Good evening, everyone. Obviously, we do have some weather on the way, and whether some of my conversations I've jinxed us or we've collectively jinxed us because we've had a mild winter so far. We did make the decision early, and as I was sharing with trustees earlier, these are a little easier when set against COVID. So we're going to be curtailed tomorrow. I appreciate I'm giving Nanette a chance to just kind of catch up with the visual there. It was a little different because I want to do a little bit of a dive within a couple of these different items. There's some detail I just want to elevate to the full board here. One with the school health relocation, really just wanted to be sure that the board itself knew we continue to work through DCAM. Given the way that public procurement is, they are in effect the project manager for this. The early news is, again, it takes a lot through the design process, working with the architect to get our hands around what we can do and frankly, what we can afford. So that's really no slide in there otherwise, but again, just wanted to let you know, we're already feeling the budget pressures in terms of our ability to sort of manage this whole thing. I don't have anything concrete just yet. But again, we definitely wanted to already alert people to the idea of what the budget is, and our ability to sort of contain the project within that is going to continue to prove difficult. I don't think that's any surprise to anybody. It, in some ways, gives a little bit of a look ahead to way down on the agenda, the idea of standing up that Facilities and Capital Committee. Even outside of Ways and Means, now we'll have that dedicated forum. And again, I know our board chair has a little bit more perspective on that committee. But that's a place for us to really engage you all as a board through a committee on a project of that magnitude. Just pause there on each of these and see if there's any questions about that school of health relocation.
No question, just a comment, Dr. Cook. I think it's really important, right? Stay up to date because we're going to have to pull levers quickly when decisions are made. And I know how long we've been waiting for this. So I think we're really, really excited for this relocation to happen because it's the first of many things that will positively impact the college. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah, internally, I keep saying, hey, we got the $30 million fundamental award. That was a really big deal. So we've got possibilities just from that very fact alone. How we've stacked on top of that, what does it all mean? Again, we'll certainly keep the board appraised when we've got more concrete information. The second item there, I'm not going to take the time to work you through again the slide deck, but I wanted you all on the board because Ways and Means has a chance to really do a deep dive on the programmatic on the budget preparation. But I wanted, again, the full board to have access to that same level of material and information because, again, these are complicated times. There's a lot of consideration. Where are student fees going to be in the mix? What does it mean to get support from all of you in the form of reserves? You gave a $4 million vote out of reserves for this year to balance the budget. Again, we talk about things like the college is very much in structural deficit. I know fiscal managers, our CFO winces, of course, when we say things like that out loud, but we have a plan and we have a multi-year plan to really work particularly on the expense side of things. And again, I do invite all the trustees to really look at that deck that was prepared. And again, what the board will see is, particularly through Ways and Means, we'll see a first draft of a budget next month in March, a second draft in April. We will ideally, again, barring something unforeseen, have a final draft of a budget for approval in May. What you may find is, again, given the questions and given the significance of budget these days, again, I want to take nothing for granted. Any trustee, it's open meeting. You can certainly come to Ways and Means if you find it's helpful to get right in there and hear on the ground floor the conversations we're having. There's lots of prompting through that committee around what about this and if then kind of thing. So just wanted to be sure that you had a lot of material to work with. And let me check and see if you have questions around the budget process.
Again, no questions, Dr. Cook, but I know Trustee Starks did make some. I know Andrea and the team is going to really kind of dive into what we do one thing, what happens, and what, how that affects the budget. So really looking forward to the next Ways and Means to see where we are. And then by then we'll have a better number with spring enrollment, maybe not the final, but we'll have better numbers, which will kind of set us up for success for that fall.
It's a great example, again, to our board chairs prompting trustees. Enrollment is one of the, and I use this term in Ways and Means, it's one of the most maddening considerations in the community college segment, because as open enrollment, as open admission, predominantly for the majority of all our college and programs, we don't have the same levers to move if you don't hit budget, because things like a wait list that we don't otherwise carry. Again, everyone applies to general studies, they're going to come to they're going to get enrolled in general studies. And it's been real difficult for any community college, particularly Massachusetts, to forecast. What we don't have the luxury to do is be overly optimistic. So from a budget translation, we actually have to be cautious with what we put in front of you, because it takes time if you don't hit that budget mark to otherwise find those savings. So again, just wanted to elevate the conversation in front of the full board. And again, you've got materials in the packet to be able to work through. Third item, we do have, after lots of conversation, we do have the NECHI, the New England Commission on Higher Education. We do have them on campus in person next Monday and Tuesday as part of their focus visit regarding the notice of concern. You will have seen that document we submitted in advance that you endorsed. That's got a lot of detail there. So they have a whole day. And again, sometimes there's questions on how does this work? Well, the chair themselves essentially says, these are the audiences, these are the individuals that I and my team would like to meet with. So it's been all mapped out that way. Again, they're meeting with leaders from different governance bodies. A number of you as trustees are meeting with them individually in your capacities. They're meeting with leadership, all those things. So should be hopefully very constructive. I think, again, there's a lot that the college can be proud of in terms of formalizing and better clarifying roles and responsibilities. I have a number of conversations, in this case with Trustee McDonald, chairing internal, external, and being the conduit for a number of these different conversations. So happy to see if there might be some questions. One note that you'll see under there is, at this time, we did have a shared governance council meeting last week. There are no formal, or should I say final, final recommendations to move forward or otherwise share, either votes for you as the board to adopt policy changes. None of those are ready. Really what I'm finding, at least so far, is these are more internal, sort of lowercase p policy, more protocol changes that are starting to sort of move forward. And I would expect by the April internal, external to at least have one or perhaps two that I can share. We do have consensus, and these are being implemented. So that's where we stand in terms of the function of the Shared Governance Council. Happy to take questions about the NECHI visit or all things governance. Okay, under 4, again, wanted to elevate this conversation around strategic planning and just give a bit of an outlook. We're really on the home stretch. We've been doing this for well over a year now. We really invested a significant dollar amount in our Campus Works consultant. And so what you'll see is we have certainly revised the timetable, and we are working towards, if you can really star an asterisk, that April full board meeting. We really want to have a final strategic plan, 2023 to 2028. We want to have a final strategic plan in front of you that you will have had a chance, obviously in advance, to really see in its thoroughness. We've got Trustee Betty Alexa Exposito, who has been your liaison. You've had a chance to see the draft of the 5 strategic goals that have been laid out. What we included in your packet is a deep dive on all of the data and all the metrics that are informing this. So again, wanted to be sure, we won't take time to go through all this, but I wanted trustees to feel like you had access to a real heavy lift on the materials that are informing this. I will say this, at the end of the day, there really shouldn't be any surprises, and we need this foundational document. And again, you see things like lead our education ecosystem, elevate our technical mission, connect and support, things like ensure there's a sustainable future for the college. No surprises, but again, it gives us a real foundation, if you will, for how we operate going forward. There's some objectives, translation of how this work looks going forward. That's really going to be done in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I say that because one of the key examples, and again, I'm going to see if I can have Nanette toggle over. I wanted to show you one of the most important things about this strategic plan is, one, we're working to make sure that it's digestible. It's not a 100-page document. But assessment, measurement, what's a key performance indicator, or the ability to measure any of these is one of the things that we are going to get to. And not only probably with your expectations, but the Department of Higher Education, the Board of Higher Education has that expectation as well. I wanted you to know just how much we already are being evaluated and assessed so that there is no surprise here. If you go to the DHE data center, and Nanette, if you can actually make your screen a little bit bigger, just so folks can also do a little bit of work on there.
True.
I don't know if you can.
I have it. I have the largest screen on my,
Okay, no, that's
on my
okay.
end.
So, by the way, there is a whole set of dashboard performance indicator information already publicly available about STCC. So if you scroll down, and by the way, this is available for every state university and every community college in Massachusetts. There is a workforce alignment area there. And what I've had Nanette pull is we're already being assessed on degree production, not our language, but degree production, number of graduates in areas like healthcare. And you'll see where Nanette's highlighted. This is one that we will very naturally and easily map into one of the metrics as part of our strategic plan. Almost, 1 in 3 graduates, well, 28%, I'm being generous with the rounding up, but I'll say more than 1 in 4 graduates are in this high demand area of healthcare. The actual number amount is over 200 in 2021. These are the kind of metrics that the Department of Higher Education, the Board of Higher Education is deeply invested in. Now, we also are going to disaggregate that and look at, okay, by gender, by race, ethnicity, even, by the way, by socioeconomic status. We can look at those 200 plus individuals and what their demographics are. We certainly will do that using our equity lens. But I wanted to show you, how does this actually translate? Because, by the way, the goal is to further invest, further support, further elevate in the name of the technical mission some of these types of areas, and we will be measured on that. So let me just check and see if that is a helpful translation, and if there are questions about that.
I mean, Dr. Good, I think everyone will agree, we love the data to really kind of prove the directions and where the college is going to go and where we put our money. So I think it's really important, because the data does matter. So really, really thank you for bringing this to our attention. And Nanette, sending out the website might be a great idea. I know it's already in the book, but just to hitting the trustees might be something that on any spare time, if we're snowed in tomorrow, just to peruse the website and see how well the college is doing against its colleagues would be great.
I appreciate that. And it's all there. There's a lot that is public. We certainly look at it as administrators internally. How do we fare with the other 14 community colleges, both as a raw number of graduates in areas like healthcare, but also as a percentage? And again, I can already give you the punchline. We are very encouraged by the position we already find ourselves in, but we can do more. We will do more. And this is, again, the mapping that we'll see in the strategic plan. Related, item 3. So as part of, and I guess the term this day and age is socialize, how we socialize our goals, how we socialize the strategic plan. I see Trustee Johnson.
Excuse me, I had a question on that last slide.
Yeah.
So a brief question. Does that information I was trying to take it in, does that take into effect the workforce programs we have, or is that only for degrees?
Yeah, this is only
for degrees. Okay.
Yeah, just credit bearing, as we would say. Yeah,
that's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify it. Sorry.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. So as we socialize, not only with you all, and again, you've got a liaison from the trustees, but again, really wanting to get solid draft in front of you all. One of the things that we've also been asked, it's part of the DHE, the Department of Higher Ed process by which this flows. You all endorse, then it goes to the Board of Higher Ed. They ask, well, how have you engaged with community to also socialize your plan? So one of the things that I did is I sent out, call it a survey, but I sent our draft goals that you've all seen and that equity lens. I sent that out to 55 area community leaders working in nonprofits, working in government, local and state, working at employers and businesses like healthcare and manufacturing, to be sure that they too were given an opportunity to share what's their outlook when we put these draft goals, when we share our equity lens in front of them. What was some of the feedback? This is part of a whole compendium that we will have that essentially substantiates how we're landing where we land with the draft. But I wanted to read one excerpt, again, just so you have a sense from, again, it's just one of the leaders in their response. But this is what they said, quote, "I cannot think of 5 stronger synthesized goals for the future of STCC. I think you and the task force truly nailed where the institution as a powerful and still untapped partner should be going next." So just know that's the type of perspective we were getting back from community leaders is, yep, absolutely STCC with those goals that you've drafted. In some ways, I would almost say, regardless of the objectives, which are really operational for us, how we implement this, we're getting very sturdy feedback from the community with what we've put in front of them. Again, let me just pause and see if there might be questions. Okay, so as I mentioned, the last piece of all this, including E on the agenda, is this idea of a revised timetable. We just, with May really probably being focused on budget approval, we wanted to really compress and put in front of you, especially since we've been at this a year, this idea of a final board endorsement of the strategic plan in April. So look for that. What I've also flagged is, given the change in the bylaws, perhaps it's worth at least a little bit of a feedback, if not a conversation done about where the board is in terms of the idea of an annual meeting. What we've called the retreat in the past, and we've used September, the bylaws really call out, use spring to really reformulate that. Is there the potential to treat the April meeting, which again, given the goal, well, given what the board is going to do next month, which is meet in person, perhaps again, if that holds, the idea of meeting in person in April, calling that the annual meeting, it gives you a chance to spend time with the strategic plan in its final iteration. That gives a springboard for you to start working on things like the presidential evaluation. That's what I wanted to also give a little bit of conversation to, if you all care to tonight.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, Dr. Cook, naming one of those. And I think it's important that Janae, Betty, and I have a quick conversation and then talk to the board, because it's going to be important to make sure we have enough. We're going to have representation. We've never had challenges with quorum, but to really kind of springboard a lot of the things that are going to happen. So I love the idea. And it really came from all the good work that came out of the ad hoc that Trustee McDonald handled with the bylaws. So we'll definitely come up with one of those to see what best fits everyone's schedule. I love it. Love the idea.
So not as much sort of material to put in front of you formally in this sense. There's a lot in that packet, but that's really the outlook. Again, enrollment has been helpful for us. Again, it's not like it's bouncing back. We've been really good active budget managers. That's really the outlook right now. We just have some really important things heading up. The NECHI visit, finalizing the strategic plan. We just got some real good fundamentals that are close. So that's really the update tonight.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Cook. Really, really appreciate it. Transition right into my report. I too am excited. I have my meeting next week with NECHI to really talk to the notice of concern and all the good work that we did as a board, faculty, staff, and students. So much has happened in the last few months I believe that we'll get that clear sailing. I don't know what you call it, Dr. Cook, but we'll get that off our book. Because, again, Trustee McDonald, thank you for all the hard work. We thought you were going to do 1 or 2 bylaws. You did every single one. You're an overachiever, and so was your team. So really, really appreciate that. It was important work, and we knew we had to do it. And, sometimes getting a little bit of a push is not a bad thing. So really appreciate everyone's hard work on that. If it's okay, I'd like to pull some new business into my chair report too, is, this facilities capital committee is really important as we embark on the relocations, renovations, and building and things that are going to happen 3, 5, 10 years down the road. So I've already reached out. Trustee Jeff Sattler has agreed to chair the facilities and capital committee to be that liaison. As you know, he's been that liaison with with staff and administration, really, really important. So Jeff and I spoke. If you are interested in sitting on that, with the new bylaws, we need a total of 3, reach out to myself or Jeff, and then we'll finalize that committee by next board meeting. Really important. We'll have that face-to-face just so we can shore up, and I'll be talking to Janae and Betty, looking at the committees as a whole now that we have a different composition number. We might be able to do some shuffling around. So we'll have that conversation in a meeting. We'll know we have to put it out, right? I'll have it individually with people. Yes.
Like early on to throw my name out to that committee, just to reconsider if needed. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. So it's important. We'll take a look at all the committees at the same time, just so, it was important as we looked at the bylaws, but they hadn't been done in many, many years, right? So it's really important to look at our committees, look at our bylaws, and we'll continue to do that moving forward. So apologies for bringing new business up into my report, but I thought it was important. And then we'll definitely make decisions on that idea, Dr. Cook, of that annual meeting in April or May. I think it's a great idea because, and we can, if we need to, we'll make sure that we have enough time to extend if we need to, and we'll have that conversations with the executive committee. So just like that, I'm going to, go ahead. Sorry, Dr. Cook.
No, you'll see under that, my team was keen to say, not May, June.
Right.
For that. So I want to make sure they know that I'm on the record here is June's probably a good month. We'll probably actually have a lot more on the project DCAM side to share anyway. So certainly we'll work offline, everyone, to have the board chair, given their authority. We'll formalize that appointment. Obviously, we've got a chair and also a minimum of the 3 trustees in total on that committee. We'll be working on that. Look for that detail to come soon.
Yeah, I think, Jeff, that's what we discussed more June, right, when we spoke. So May was a little bit early. We want to make sure we get our ducks in order, get the committees kind of set up, and really kind of look like, what does that committee look like? Are we having and inviting some others to participate too? Really important as we really kind of look forward to transforming the college. We want to make sure we have good representation across our ecosystems. So perfect. Great. So that's any comments on my report or anything I might have missed, Dr. Cook, or from the executive committee?
No, I was going to help with the item under old business. Before that, there was one sort of not mentioned. I didn't want to put Trustee McDonald on the spot. We did have a wonderful story that we showcased where we went down to ACCT, Association of Community College Trustees. Trustee McDonald, Trustee Butler Perez, and myself joined a whole contingent from Massachusetts. You'll read about it on the website. If you click there now, there's a great picture with us and Congressman Neal with truly the Capitol. Almost looks like a postcard, but it's real. The Capitol really was behind us. We didn't Photoshop it in. But, just wanted to see, Trustee McDonald, the idea of just how powerful a forum it is for us to be in the mix on that. And any other sort of perspective, even encouragement of other trustees to join us in future years.
Yeah, so that's exactly where I wanted to go with it, because the Massachusetts contingency is growing. And it's really important for us to have our voice on the national table. I know we like to focus on and think about, our challenges at each individual institution, but it's really eye-opening to see some of the challenges that other institutions are dealing with, how they are addressing the challenges. And then it gives us a different perspective, because we're the only state out of the rest of New England that kind of operates in their own individual community colleges that govern each community college, versus other states operating like a state system. So we have an opportunity to really represent New England in a beautiful way. It was awesome to be there with Congressman Neal, hear about the needs, from his perspective, and how the institution is meeting that need, and how we're continuing to be invested in as a college because of the role that we're playing in that need. And it's really opened my eyes to some of the changes and the shift that I've seen being taken here at the college from the time I started on the board until now. And I'm realizing, we're making certain shifts for, a better to better serve the community and really better meet the need of the industry, because we can have all the students we want, but if we're not pushing them to complete and putting them into careers that are really going to lead to them being sustainable and living self-sufficient lives, that's what it's really about. So I enjoyed it. I know that Trustee Butler Perez is still raving about it, and she cannot wait to go to the next one. And if she were here, I'm sure she would encourage everyone else to do the same. So I know we're all busy professionals and we're giving our time, but I do heavily encourage others to attend and participate if they can.
Again, for frankly, any serving, I was going to say newer trustees, but any serving trustee, the college underwrites this, right? This is part of your role. So we manage the accommodations, the travel costs, all that other stuff. And to that point, I think there is training. There was a whole new trustee orientation that Trustee Butler Perez went through within this summit that, again, she talks about in the article as being really, really helpful. There's just some great fundamentals. And sometimes it's just good for people to hear from somebody other than me, quite honestly, about some of these things, and realize, all right, it's not just this college in Springfield. So that was one. The second item under old business, I don't want to get too ahead of the governor, quite frankly. 10 of 11 of you are duly appointed by the governor. We obviously have a student trustee and we have an alumni trustee, but that alumni trustee still does carry the appointment of the governor. We did manage an election, which was helpful. We actually had 3 candidates who were put forward in that. Let me sort of just be, I'm not trying to be too cagey about the whole thing. I'd rather wait for the formality of the appointment, but it will be incredibly helpful. The individual who has come forward is a graduate from 1990 in accounting, has really, really helpful fiscal background, understanding investments. So I think, again, it will be a real asset to the board with the skill set that we anticipate being appointed. As to when, again, this is an administration that is continuing to sort of staff up and work through all that. But we do hope to have that alumni trustee duly appointed in relatively short order.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Cook. I think we've gone through our agenda unless someone has any comments or questions. The great news is our next meeting on March 27th will be in person. Maybe it's almost 3 years, right? March. So we will be in person on the 27th at 5 o'clock. Really looking forward to that. And so with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting of the Board of Trustees?
So moved.
Second.
Great, thanks, Norman. Nanette, would you please call the roll to end the Board of Trustees meeting of February 27th?
Yes, Mary Kate Mirren,
Yes.
Janae McDonald,
Yes.
Elizabeth Esposito,
Yes.
Clarisbeth Garcia, Tonia Butler Perez, Samalid Hogan,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
Norm Rodan,
Yes.
Jeff Sattler,
Yes.
and Max Starks. Thank you.
Great, everyone. Be safe. Hopefully you're already home, but be safe tomorrow too, and we'll see you real soon. Have a great
Thanks again,
night.
Everybody, take care.
Nice night.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.